Hello, hello. Cześć wszystkim. Hello guys. How are you? Kai, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hello, Martin.
I will switch to the other screen just in a moment. Let's do it like this. So, guys, today with me is Kai Hornung from Germany, from Hanover. Hello, Kai. Nice to meet you here. Nice to see you here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, first question to the audience. Can you hear Kai properly? Just a moment, Kai. Let's see what people will write. Can you hear Kai? Kai?
Yes.
Some test
sounds, some mumbling from here. Hello, everybody. I'm glad I'm here, and thank you for joining in.
Guys, do you hear Kai? Kai is louder. Okay, Kai is louder. Let's try to make it a bit. Okay, right now maybe.
Okay, another test. How do you hear me now?
Okay, let's start. Let's start. And if
Okay.
it will be too loud or too quiet, just let us know. And I will try to adjust the volume of Kai. And so, welcome. Good to hear you. Good to have you here. And yeah, maybe first, Kai, a few words about yourself, what you are doing on the daily basis. And yeah, photography is just a hobby or maybe your profession?
I'd say it's my passion. It's not my profession. I'm a landscape photographer, but it's not my profession. I don't earn my money with photography.
Not yet.
My job actually is being a human resources consultant in an insurance company, a big one from Germany. And well, in my free time, I do photography, and it's started to get more and more intense, and I'm more and more passionate about it. And maybe at some point I will try to get even deeper into it and to start to earn some money. But I think it's not the best decision to have it as a full-time job. I don't know, not for now.
I think everyone has, such similar
Exactly.
issues when, when you have a daily job, you earn money, and then to change to photography, which is not easy.
True.
Oh, my daughter, Mr. Kai.
Hello.
Okay, guys, first of all, if you want to ask some questions to Kai, just type them on chat. You can even do it in Polish, so I will pick up some of the most interesting questions and ask them to Kai. If someone speaking German can also ask the question in German, but
Yes.
Believe me, I have no idea what you will write then.
Maybe I can translate them, at least into English. My Polish is non-existent.
Yeah, but probably you can order the beer in Poland.
Maybe.
Do you know the beer in Polish? Piwo? Do you know the?
Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't even know what 1 or 2 means. But I guess piwo works.
One piwo means jedno
Yeah.
piwo. Okay, Kai. So how did you start with photography? How long you are in photography, and was it kind of passion because of, I don't know, family also being involved in photography, or maybe you basically started inspired by someone, whatever?
Well, maybe to start before photography, I've always been, or I consider myself a creative person because I've been into music for many years. When I was a teenager, I started a band with my schoolmates, and I was in a band for a long time, still am. We recorded CDs and played concerts and everything. So being creative has always been very important for me. And I photographed, I guess, like everybody else did in my holidays. And then when my son was born, that was 2008, I decided to switch from those tiny little cameras to a first entry-level DSLR. And then I was like, oh yeah, I can take a good shot of my newborn son. And I was all happy. And then when we went on vacations, family vacations, I started to play around with the camera. But I think the level was at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was in 2015 or something. Unfortunately, my wife and me, we split, and I left my family and moved out. And after, well, getting resettled with my own life, it was 2016, so 2 years ago. I bought myself a new camera. I had more time then, of course, and I wanted to be creative with photography. And I started to actually learn how to handle this camera, go beyond just switching into aperture mode, for example, and then go into manual and play around. And YouTube was a huge help for me to get started and to learn something about photography. I started to go outside and shoot there, which I did before, but without any plan and any knowledge. For example, shooting a nightscape before was for me, well, you go out at night when it's really dark. And I went into the city and shot. And I was like, why do my images look so murky and so unfavorable? Starting to learn, you shoot nightscapes in blue hour and things like this. Kind of slowly got me into this. I learned to edit images too. And then it got going from there. So I say my photography started 2 years ago.
Okay, so what was your first camera actually? The first one which you picked up in 2008?
That one was Olympus.
Okay.
E510, I think it's called.
Olympus D5. Okay. Because D510 is not Nikon.
No. And that or is it 510? But it's Olympus for sure.
Okay.
I still have it lying somewhere.
Okay, I see some questions coming on chat. Do you see chat, Kai?
Nope,
on your tablet?
Nope. Wait, I have, because I have a full screen. I will switch this here.
By the way, anyhow, the question is from Łukasz, and he's asking, what is in your camera bag when you are going for photography? Yeah. So let's say what you currently use, and actually it was also one of my questions. What you currently use, and maybe you plan to change something.
Actually, I just just changed, and I just got myself the new Sony A7R Mark III.
Wow!
And I took it to Lofoten Islands in Norway with me, and actually, it's this little thing here. Got myself the 16-35 G Master lens, which is an absolutely crazy good lens, I'd say. It's really tack sharp and many details, but that's not the camera I started with. The camera I started with 2 years ago was a Sony a6000, which I think it's a really good all-around start camera. And then last year in September, I went on a photo tour with some photo friends, and we went to the Dolomites and Bavaria, Austria, and I rented myself a Sony A7R Mark II. First time I shot with a full frame camera too. And I was blown away what those files look like. You know, before I'm really very much into editing images, and I pushed the raw files of my A6000, I think, really much to the limit, and I know how far I went, and I piled layer after layer and after layer, and then pulling the sliders from the highlights to the shadows with the raw files from the A7R Mark II. I was like, whoa, heaven opens. And from that moment on, I was lost, and knew I had to get this camera. And then Sony said, well, the A7R Mark III would come out, and I was like, yeah, that sounds good. I think I might get into this one. So I eventually did. And so to answer your question, finally, what's in my bag? The camera body, the A7R Mark III is in my bag. As a backup, I had my A6000 with me to Lofoten Islands. I had the 16-35 millimeter lens with me. I had a long lens, the 70-200 lens with me to have some.
Also G series?
Pardon me?
Also G series?
No.
No, no, okay.
I mean, it's up to budget, of course. And also, I was like, when I shoot landscapes, it's mostly wide, and I knew when I would go for nightscapes and to shoot the aurora, I would shoot wide and not have a long lens. So I went for the 4.0 version on the long lens, and I'm glad I did, because it's way lighter. I mean, this 16-35 2.8 is pretty heavy compared to the small lenses that I was using for my A6000. That's actually the lens that I used most of the time for my A6000, which is the Samyang 12mm, which is a really nice budget lens, and really good one. All manual, but that's, if you're interested in buying this, don't be afraid of going manual. That's really, I really appreciate going with a manual lens at night, because it's easy to handle and easy to
I think anyhow, majority of landscape photographers shooting in manual. I mean, this is kind of typical approach. I'm just looking for some for other questions. Yeah, Piotrek is saying that you probably was talking about Olympus E510. Yeah. The question from Chris: have you been shooting landscapes in Poland, or have you ever considered doing that? If so, where would you like to go first?
I did shoot in Poland, and Marcin is laughing because he knows where and on what occasion. It's actually almost exactly 1 year ago. I was invited to go to a wedding in Poland, close to Posen, and of course I brought my camera, the A6000 back then, and well, it was a weekend with a celebration, and you know, when you're a photo addict, you don't stop shooting. You take your camera with you, and then we were
even drunk.
No. We arrived on a Friday, and the party and the festivities were on a Saturday. And what did I do? I set up the alarm very early on Saturday morning. Looked outside the window. The sky looked promising, so I went out and took some sunrise shots. So yes, I shot in Poland, but only on the ground from where we partied. But maybe later on you can show an image, because I have.
I didn't receive this one. I didn't receive this one, you know. But maybe is it somewhere on the website? No, I don't think so.
But it's in my Instagram. But
yeah. Okay. We can find it later on Instagram.
So yeah, there is. Back to your question. If you know good photo spots, and I'm sure Marcin, you do in Poland, let me know, because right now it's I'm.
Yeah, actually, this is what I wanted to propose you, because on in June, on the 15 to 17, about 50 people from our audience listening to us right now will come together with me to first meeting near Poznań. You remember those pictures from Rogalin Landscape Park with these nice oaks which I show you? So we will be shooting over there. So if you would like to join, you are invited. Just let me know. We can discuss it later on.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Anyhow, the next question I see here. What are your favorite places where you most often photograph? I saw many of your pictures from Germany, from Switzerland. Maybe you could tell us something about these locations, because they look really amazing.
Yeah, that's. I mean, for you Polish people, I think the closest place to go to Germany to shoot and have a really nice landscape would be Saxon, Switzerland, which is right next to the border to the Czech Republic. I think there's Bohemian Switzerland. Is it called that way? I think it is. Sandsteingebirge in German. It's not too far away from Dresden, and this is really an amazing landscape. You have those high rocks that go up and look almost like they were in, where is it in America? I think Utah.
Yeah, Utah.
Crazy good landscape, really. I mean, and if you want to go somewhere not too far away, but inside Germany, you should go there. And I think that's this place, and also Hintersee and Berchtesgaden, which is in Bavaria, south of Germany. I think those are the two first spots that I would suggest But in all honesty, I haven't been everywhere in Germany. So those are just two spots I really like. And I think there are a couple more too. But actually, I was talking to some friends from, I have some Scandinavian photo friends, and I really understand what they said. There's one guy from Denmark, Mikkel, and he said, well, I'm not really into shooting in Denmark because it's like, it's your home ground, and therefore in a certain way kind of boring because you see it all the time. And he's drawn to go a bit further to Iceland, to the Faroe Islands, to Norway. And we went to the Dolomites together, and I know what he's talking about because I kind of feel like this too. I loved it in Portugal last year. Dolomites, I would go back there right away. It's amazing. I've just been to Lofoten in Norway. Awesome. I would love to go to Iceland, of course, like everybody does. Faroe Islands might even be happening this year, so keep my fingers crossed.
But don't you have a feeling like, you know, especially last month during the winter time, when I look at Facebook profiles or Instagram profiles of photographers, I have sometimes a feeling that there are so many pictures from the same location. And it's, after a while, it's getting kind of boring, you know. So when you go somewhere, do you try to find new spots, something, you know, very much only for you, or very unique, what you haven't seen on from other photographers?
I think with me, since I just started 2 years ago, it's all still kind of new. So I'm still fine with going to those postcard locations, but it's exactly like you say. I mean, I'm on Instagram very often, and I see a lot of images there, and you are so right. As much as I would love to go to Iceland, for example, although I've never been there, it kind of feels like I've seen it all already, because those shots are all over the place. But still, like at Lofoten, Norway, where I was just a couple of weeks ago, I mean, of course, there are those famous spots, and you've seen all of those images, but it's still great to be there yourself and see it yourself. And I'm not really thriving to shoot those postcards much, and I see myself going away from this within the next years, because, as you say, it's more boring. But there's still so many places, and you can still try to find something new, even in those places that are shot very often. Get a different angle, a different approach, wait for different light or something like this, play with shutter speeds or whatever. And I think you can still be creative. And I'm not, when I'm shooting, it's not like I have an image on my phone and I go like, okay, I have to shoot it to reproduce. And it's not the other way around either. I'm not looking at images and say, all right, this image is taken this way, I'm going to have to do it another way. I don't have my phone in my hand anyway, maybe just to check some Instagram, but I just shoot what I want and what I feel like. And,
as you said.
I have people telling me that with my Lofoten shots that I just, that I'm releasing these days, that I found something new in there. I'm not so sure, but it's a nice compliment anyways.
Okay, so, but are there any locations which, except Iceland, as you said, but are there any directions which you know are dreaming of, like, you know, I don't know, Greenland maybe, or I don't know, Antarctica, whatever?
I would love to go and shoot the Oregon coast in America. Those rocks with the long beaches, and you have the sun setting behind them. I don't know why, but most photographers that I would consider my biggest influence there are mostly Americans. It's not on purpose. It's not. It's, I don't know. It just happens that way. But when you see Ted Gore, Ryan Dyer, Michael Shainblum, I like Nick Page, for example. Those guys are all from the same area, actually, and they have those shots from this place, and also not too far away from there you have the forests, and then I checked it on a map, like 10-hour drive or 11-hour drive, you go to Alberta, Canada. You have Banff and the Canadian Rocky Mountains. I would love to shoot there.
Yeah, Canada is also the location which I would really like to visit, and British Columbia as well. So these are the spots. Especially, you know, there is one guy, I don't know if Radek is right now on chat, but he's actually living in Vancouver, and hopefully I will go there somewhere and we will meet together. Okie dokie. By the way, you said about Portugal shutter speed in the meantime. Also that you were blown away by the details and dynamic range of the RAW files from Sony A7R. My question is, are you more using the bracketing when shooting landscape or filters, like, you know, the ND filters, big stoppers, soft grad, hard grad filters? Which is your favorite technique? Or you are using all of them together?
It depends on what I shoot. When I want to have a smooth water, of course, or if it's during the day or if it's bright and I want moving water, to have those really defined streaks of receding waves, most of the time you have to go with filters because it's too bright. You won't be able to shoot this without. But with my A6000, I had to bracket, of course, because I had to have this dynamic range. With the R Mark III, I think I need 2 shots, and then I have all the dynamic range I need. It's really when I did this with my Dolomite shots, although there were no receding waves, I was like, I'm saving so much time on editing because I don't have to blend all those bracketed shots. And this is also a big advantage to go with those high dynamic range cameras. And I really love this. So I'm bracketing maybe more when I shoot handheld, which I don't do often. Then I go for bracketing because it's just easier. And but when I do it on the tripod, I don't bracket that much anymore.
And if we talk about filters, do you have any specific brand you use? Because currently we have we had already, and we still have a lot of discussion with my audience regarding the filters, what brands to use. Because right now I am with Haida, the quite, yeah, you too. Then I broke some Nisi filters in Patagonia. But many people, you know, especially when starting, they want to use, or they want to go for Kokin, which are much cheaper. But I only have bad experience with Kokin. Did you ever use those filters?
No.
So Haida is your brand right now, yeah?
I went to Haida right away. I think it's like the cheap ones I got, and I have the screw filters. I don't have the filter set that I put on. I mean, I always envy those photographers that stand next to me because they have those big sets and they look like they're driving Porsche with their camera. And I was like with my small, tiny camera and a little screw-on filter, and I was like, yeah, looking kind of poor here. But I'm fine with that. I mean, I like those screw-on filters, and I use Haida. If there's any brand out there that wants to sponsor me and has some good stuff, feel free to ask. But right now, I'm content with what I have. And no experience with Kokin. Sorry.
Tomek is asking if he heard correctly if you have been to Faroe Islands, but I think you said you maybe will go this year, yeah?
I might be going later this year.
Okay. Okay. Who else? What picture are the most difficult challenge for you? Oh, that's interesting question. Exactly. So maybe I can extend this question. So are you only in landscape photography, or you also shoot some maybe weddings, maybe portraits, maybe street photography? Because for me, I even tried to shoot people, but no way.
It's difficult. I mean, so to answer your question, no, it's just landscape. It's landscape that I feel comfortable with, and that's the most fun. Of course, you get asked to shoot people, and I like shooting people, but I suck at just doing it. Maybe one day I will go that way, but I would have to have really patient people being patient with me, because I would have to have a lot of tries to get the things right with portraits. I was asked to shoot a wedding, and back like many years ago with my poor camera back then, I even did this, and that's like one of my major faults, and I shouldn't have done this. I mean, the wedding couple, they didn't complain, but when I look at those images, I'm like, oh God. And I think I have the maximum respect to every wedding photographer, because this is really a really difficult job, because you can't repeat those moments, like exchanging the rings and everything. And usually those moments happen in bad light inside a church or somewhere. And you have to have a very good equipment for this. And you have to have very good skills, and you have to nail this exact moment. And you don't want to interfere with the audience, because the parents are sitting there and they want to see the couple, of course. That's a tough job. And no,
risky, very, very risky. Especially if you miss the momentum, then you are done.
You are, yes. So no, I don't see myself going there.
Okay. By the way,
if
Kai,
I ever
you
will be a professional photographer and I have to earn my money, then I have to find ways, and maybe have to learn this too. But right now, it's the advantage of not having to earn my money with photography that gives me the freedom to decide what I want to do, and that right now is landscape.
By the way, you have greetings from Henrik, who is living also in Hanover. So
hello, Henrik.
Yeah. Okay. I don't see too many questions, new questions right now coming in. So now the question from me, but maybe because I see when I look at your pictures, I see so many details, and as you said, you really, especially when you were shooting with Sony A6000, in my opinion, I fully agree. You really nailed to the really edge all of these raw files. But it seems to me that you spend a lot of time also on post-production, meaning editing, probably in Photoshop, using masking, blending modes, and so on and so forth. So do you have some kind of, I would say, standard workflow, or the way you want your pictures to look like, and what techniques you are using most often? Maybe some tools also.
Considering the tools, I use Lightroom to import my images. I always shoot raw, so you have to edit your shots, and that's what I always do. Except for when I shoot my kids, but those are only private images I won't be sharing online. Then I shoot in JPEG. But when I shoot landscapes, I import my raw files with Lightroom, and then I pre-edit. I mean, I go through my shots, and then the ones I think will feel right and I want to edit them, I pre-edit inside Lightroom to have it straightened a bit, to have the contrast and the chromatic aberration outside, and then the lens correction, so that you don't have those funky lines. Things like this, exposures, get some details in the shadows, and play with the highlights. Do all this stuff, and then import into Photoshop. And then I spend a lot of time inside Photoshop. That's true. I do a lot there. Inside Photoshop, I use some filters from the Nik collection, like tonal contrast, pro contrast. Those are like the two that I use the most.
Color
and
effects?
Then, pardon me?
Color effects?
Color effects, yeah.
Yeah.
And I also use Lumina, which is not that old yet. I like this one. I like it, especially for micro contrast.
Yeah.
And there are so many presets that you can destroy your images with. And I don't even know half of what is possible with Lumina, I guess. But I made myself an own preset that all it does is have some vignetting that I can move around, and have some micro contrast, which if I showed you in the image, you might not even really notice what it's doing, because it's so subtle, but it's really important for me because it really gets those details in the shadows and in the image, and gets a bit crispier. So how long do I spend editing a shot? Of course, depends on the shot, but it's at least, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes.
I just got a message from Tomek that I missed one question from Łukasz, which is who is asking, what are your basic rules of landscape photography that you would give to novice photographers? You know, someone who's starting.
Don't get too confused with all those so-called rules. I mean, there are certain things you should have in mind. I think the most important thing is care about your foreground. Because at least what I did when I went into the landscape, like the first time I really shot a landscape was when I was on a business trip to Ireland, and I had the chance to go to the Irish coast and shoot there. And you have, I mean, you see it all, and you have a wide landscape, and you're like amazed. It looks also beautiful, and you want to capture it all. And so you point your camera at the broad view, and then when you look at the image, you wonder like, why isn't it as great as I experienced it? Because you don't give scale, and usually it's really the foreground that matters.
Yeah.
Not the most, but really a lot to your shot. So care about your foreground, have something interesting there, and then the background, middle ground, and everything. And then from there you can go with leading lines and patterns, structures. And in the beginning, when you start with your photography, have fun. That's the most important thing, because if you don't have fun, you won't be picking up your camera after half a year anymore, and then it's just done. Have fun and enjoy, and then take it step after step. Last year I was at Hintersee in Berchtesgaden, and there was a young guy. He was fiddling around with his camera, and he was like, "Oh, I want to shoot like this and that guy. How can I do this with my camera?" And I was like, well, "I don't know. Let's see where we can start." And he didn't know anything. He had a good Canon camera, but didn't know anything to do, and he was like just over ambitious. He wanted to nail the perfect shot. And don't drive yourself crazy with the beginning. Just have fun, and don't worry about putting it out on the internet and get feedbacks, likes, or whatever. It doesn't matter in the beginning. Just have fun and enjoy, and then just progress. And you will, when you have fun and you try things, you will naturally progress, I promise.
Fully agree with that. Chris is asking about digital filters from Sony. I don't know Sony, so I have no idea what Chris means. Maybe Chris, do you know something about
digital filters from Sony?
Yeah.
No, doesn't.
Chris, maybe you can elaborate, even if it will be easier for you, might be even in Polish, then I can get back to these questions.
There is a Sony software that that I have too, to have this pixel shift function, which is new with the A7R Mark III. And I've tried it, and it looks promising. But right now, I'm not so crazy about getting into a new software, which I would have to do with this one from Sony. And my first impression was like, I stick with Lightroom. So I went back. But I see myself going back there and do more with the pixel shift. But maybe you will be asking about prints later. I don't do printing much right now. So having those really, really crisp details, it's not too important right now. It will be when I print, of course. But right now for web display, it's not too important. So it's not my top priority to do the pixel shift right now. And therefore also not using the Sony software.
Sure. Chris is adding that this digital filter is a kind of app from Sony, so probably as you don't know it, then
no, sorry.
Then probably you don't use it, and he's saying that you can download it for Sony A7 family cameras. Maybe you should look at
thank
it.
you. I will check that out.
Interesting. There is Ulf, probably someone from Germany, I guess, by the name. Ulf.
I don't see the chat, so I don't know who's even on there.
But you know, if you have it on tablet, probably at the bottom of the screen there is a kind of place which you scroll, and then you should see the chat.
So I'm impolite now. I don't look into your eyes. I look into my screen here. I'm trying to fiddle this. And try to take care of what you're saying so I can answer your questions.
But anyhow, what I can do, I can probably send you the link to chat so you can open it in the web browser and you can have it.
But it's also fine when you read those questions. I can answer them all. No problem.
Anyhow, I was talking about Ulf, and Ulf is saying still waiting for a workshop with you. How long? Whomever he is, maybe someone whom you know.
Actually, you know what? I would like to do this. I would like to do a workshop because with my job, I have been training young adults for many years. It's part of my job actually to train young people or young adults, and I like doing this. And I think I'm not bad in this, so I'm self-confident that I could actually train and have lead workshops, and it's satisfying to see that what people can accomplish when you give them some advice and encourage them to do what they maybe are unsure in the beginning about, and then when they try, see a result, and then get them going. And this is a fun part. So I'm not kidding. Might be a possibility that I will be doing this one day, but it's not right now. I don't have any dates. But if you guys ask for this even more, well, the possibility will rise.
Guys, get in touch with Kai. Go to his website, and then you will be able to maybe convince him to make his first workshop. Yeah, Kai, maybe, you know, I will try to jump to your website right now, which might be where we have one issue which we tried to do before, but
I will be frozen.
You are not right now, so hopefully it will work. Let's see. If not, then you will just I'm talking right now to the people watching the live. You will hear Kai, but probably you won't. He will be frozen on the screen. So here's the website of Kai, and yeah, where we should start? Maybe we can start with the sea. I mean, with the gallery where you have the pictures from the sea, and yeah, I will pick up the first one, which I really like, and I saw it already on Instagram. I think it was last year. So maybe you can say a few words about this location, Kai, and where it is actually. It says Praia da Ursa, so I expect that it's kind of below or between Lisbon and Porto, probably, yeah, closer to Lisbon.
Yes, exactly. It's the Sintra area, so it's actually west of Lisbon. And when I went to Portugal last year, before I did what I usually do, I browse the internet and see what images have been taken at spots that I might be seen. And then I, of course, saw images from this beach, Praia da Ursa, which is called Bear's Beach. Some Portuguese guy explained to me. And I was like, whoa, this beach looks really fantastic. I have to go there. And then I searched for any hits in the internet that explained how to get there, because you can't get there down there by car. You actually have to hike a bit down. And I spent a day there, actually. I went there maybe around 12, bright day, and spent a nice beach day. Didn't even take my camera out much. And then when the sun set and got the light was turning nice and we had golden hour starting, then I started to shoot. And this image is actually on my descent way back up. It was a lot darker when I shoot this image than it appears on this final result here now. And you have those flowers that are on the hills, and actually you see this little V shape going down. That's actually where you walk. Those little walkways, they're really tiny and sometimes steep. You go down there, and like right after the sun had set, I moved up to make it up there within some last daylight to not even have to take out my head torch. And when I turned back, actually, like for the last time, to have a look at this amazing scenery, I was standing there and I was like, I have to take my camera out one last time. And I set it up and then I took shots. I think that moment I'm not even that sure. I think it was even handheld. I took a couple of shots, which led to me having a long time to edit this shot because I have to do a lot of warping, because when you shoot handheld and try to blend those images, that's a lot of work with warping and to correct those funky perspectives. And yeah, that's the final result. It's if you're ever going to Portugal, like you are, Moichin, and you have some time, go there. It's a fantastic beach, and it's even better when you're down there because those rocks in the back, they're so characteristic, and you have place with the waves in there, and it's excellent. Great spot.
So the question to this picture from myself, but also I see the Kai Hornung, if I'm reading correctly the name. Maybe you can tell us something about the post-processing of such image. So I understood that this is blending of few exposures. And so on which part of the image you were focusing mainly? Because I see that the details on the right hand side, on the rocks going down, you got some nice light over there, but also the flowers in the foreground are kind of, you know, brought to the attention of someone looking at this picture. But anything special, like maybe the clouds are from another exposure, or
it's not a sky exchange. That sky was there, so I think it was like 3 or 4 handheld shots that I'm bracketing here to have some dynamic left in the sky, to not have those blown out details. So what I do when I edit this shot, actually when I look at it, I might be even editing it a little bit differently now, because when I edit my shots, first of all, I try to blend everything if it's different exposures, to have a wide dynamic range, and then take things apart. Like the grass and the flowers, it was way more confusing. So I took some branches out, took some flowers out that weren't really in the frame or were in the corner. So, and then I took them out to have your eyes focus inside the image. And then what I like to do is lead with saturation and with hues. So I usually, like the sides from the image, I desaturate those and darken it. Not with a real vignette, although here you can see there's quite some vignetting going on, especially in the sky. Maybe if I edited this right now, I wouldn't darken the sky as much as it is here. I would be more subtle, and have the parts of the image that you're really focusing on, or that you think that tells the story, have those saturated, not oversaturated, but have those saturated, and desaturate the other parts. That's what I usually do. And what I learned from Ted Gore, from watching his tutorials, and also reading a perfect blog article he wrote about color theory.
Yeah, I saw it.
See which colors go together well. I mean, there's the color wheel, and
like blue and orange and this kind of stuff. Yeah,
exactly. And don't have too many colors in the image. This is what I usually do. It's take colors out that are distracting. And that's actually what I usually do, and what I did here too. And then it's dodging and burning also, you know, to add some dimension, to enhance the highlights and darken the shadows. Although I always go and lift the blacks a bit in the end, luminosity masks. I use the Raya Pro panel for this, because those are really precise luminosity masks I can create, and then go into the blacks. Excuse me if you're new into photography and you're like going out now right now, I'm sorry. It's just, I guess, more for the advanced here. I lift the blacks to have some details, and to not have the blacks fully black, but a little bit grayish, which adds a little bit of mood to me, my personal taste.
Okay, good, thanks you. And I assume that this picture, for example, these are the rocks from the beach level, yeah? So
I have to wait for the screen because it's a little delayed.
Okay, yeah, I know. Yeah, I just took the next one, which you taken probably down
from the
there.
sea level, exactly. And I faked this one a bit because I took a stone from the back Small tricks. And then I waited for the waves to come, and I have plenty of exposures from there when the waves were receding from the stone, and I even liked this. But ultimately, I think this was even the first shot I edited from when I came back there. I liked the calmness of the stone sitting there untouched by the waves, and the waves coming up there. It's like a soft blanket, and that's what appealed to me a lot.
Yeah, the stone adds the scale to the picture, and
Exactly.
on the other hand side, not being touched by the wave, it kind of nicely balanced the image
And that's what I said earlier. Care about your foreground. The shot would not work as much if that stone wouldn't be there, because it's the scale, like you say, but it's also a focal point and some sort of interest. And even like this stone sits there alone, you could even go this far and have like a little storytelling inside this image.
I will jump to the other one maybe, because I like this picture. I see it for the first time, honestly speaking, but it's kind of completely different mood comparing to the other picture I see on your website and in your portfolio, also on Instagram.
Yeah, because that's
it's really different.
Because this might be the oldest image I have on my website. That's when I said I started in early, I think it was April 2016, and it was in August that year that I went to the Baltic Sea in Germany. I also went to, that's where I shot in Poland too. I was going to Swinoujście, how do you call it?
Świnoujście.
I cannot repeat that. Thank you. But you know what I mean with this windmill?
Yeah.
I went there and shot there. And when I was there, I was here. This is Zingst on the German side. And I shot this, and I had a very long exposure going there. It's actually a broad daylight shot. And then I added some effect to the clouds to have a radial filter going there in Photoshop. And because the clouds didn't move that much, that I had this effect going. But I kind of liked it. And yeah, you're right. It's different because it has a brighter mood than
exactly. That's what I wanted to say. It's completely different mood. And it's much, I would say, lighter.
Yes.
More kind of pastel colors, which are different from the other pictures you take.
I had somebody asking me to print some images for a dentist office. And that person was asking me, well, you have so beautiful images. Could you do more like this one? Because it's brighter. And maybe my other shots, the more regular ones I'm doing, those are too depressing for the clients at the dentist. Unfortunately, I don't have too many bright shots. Not yet. Might be coming. I don't know.
Yeah, right now I jumped to the land pictures, and probably here are some locations from Germany you were mentioning at the beginning, and I'm really blown out by the spots you have here in the portfolio. I will take probably this water mill,
which is in Austria.
This is Austria. It's really beautiful.
Thank you. It's at Gollinger waterfall, actually. That waterfall is just maybe 20 meters away from there, or maybe 30, I don't know. And when you go down from that waterfall, that little stream makes a little curve. And after the curve, you have this mill. And I went really, really low, just above the water level, to not drown my camera, to have those little streaks of water going right in front of me, again to have a foreground, and have this mill in the back. And what was difficult to process that was actually in the end of our Alps tour that I did with Mads Peter Iversen, with Roy Jensen, with Mikkel Beiter. And when we were finished shooting the waterfall, we moved over there, and the sun got up pretty high. And you know how it is when you shoot inside a forest, you have this diffusion of light, and when it's harsh light, you don't have really favorable shadows. So here I took I think 3 to 4 shots, also to balance light a bit more. And that's actually what I focused on the most when editing this shot, to work the HSL slider inside Lightroom, to have the colors not go separately all the way, but to focus on the greens, and to have the yellows and the greens more put together, and then turn down the brightness of the bright lights way down, and lift the shadows up a bit to even the light. Because if I had taken it like it was captured, it wouldn't work. It's just too much of confusion with hard shadows and not really favorable. But actually, that way that turned out pretty nicely. Yeah.
This is another way how you can get the foreground or the focal point on the picture. So I assume that you or someone else just throw a stone to the water.
I did it.
This nice splash. But I'm wondering how many tries you had to catch this water exactly that way. It's really amazing, or is it really the blend of, you know, the water drops from several shots?
I probably give away more secrets than I should here.
You shouldn't then. Okay, if you don't want, then
I'm fine with that. I mean, I'm open. If people go and like, oh no, that's too much editing or too much enhancing the reality, I'm fine with that. I mean, I'm not shooting documentaries here. It's I want to shoot a mood, and want to have something that looks nice and that appeals to me. And right here, I thought, first of all, this place is called Rakotsbrücke, which is not that far away from the border, and also, so when you go to Saxon, Switzerland, you're not. That was the same tour, the same weekend I was there. I was going to that bridge, which is really popular in social media.
Yeah.
And I took a long exposure to have the water flat, which is not a problem because this is a really calm lake anyway. And you see this perfect reflection, this perfect circle of the bridge. And since there are millions of images in the social medias of this place already, I thought, well, can I do anything to be creative here just for myself? So I threw a stone, and the first 3 to 4 tries weren't successful. I had a shutter remote in my hand. I threw a stone and then did the serial shutter. And here it's a blending of a clean lake without a thrown stone. Because when you throw a stone, I mean, you have this little water come up.
Yeah.
The ripples are already further away, which would disturb the water a bit more than you have here. So I have a clean lake, and then on top of this, I have the ripples of one shot and then the splash. So it's 3 exposures blended together. Maybe now looking at it, maybe even a bit too clean. I wouldn't mind if those ripples were a little bit more disturbing in the front. So if I edited this now, I guess I would go more into the realistic version. But back when I did, I thought this circle, this clean circle, is a perfect mimic of the perfect circle of the bridge.
Yeah, that's
sometimes
really
you have to make decisions.
Yeah, you know, there is a lot of discussion going on, especially if you go, you know, to some photography groups.
Yeah.
And when you're showing the picture and saying that this is, you know, the blend of 3 exposures, or you replace the sky, and you know, only if you start saying that, the discussion just explodes, you know. And there are usually 2 types of people. Some of them, they really open to creativity, to you know, to the people which are trying to, maybe even sometimes by enhancing the reality, but they are trying to build up the mood of the picture, the emotion you have when you were shooting that. And the other picture are completely opposite. So the only proper way to make the photography, especially if you're talking about the nature, is just to have 1 exposure, probably best directly from the camera, and only slightly adjusted in the Lightroom. So I'm also with you. I fully agree, and I also like to do some kind of, you know, experimenting even. But there is a lot of people having the issue with such approach.
You know, the funny thing about this discussion, I mean, of course, I think you cannot win this discussion either way. I mean, it's just never ending. What I find funny, though, is sometimes the people that complain the most about editing photos, they say that black and white photography is excellent and it's art, which, if you have ever edited a black and white shot, you know that this needs a lot of editing, a lot of tweaking, and a lot of enhancing working contrasts and
transitions between, you know, different grays.
So much.
And so,
but somehow this kind of photography is fine. So, well, I don't know. It's I think everybody has a level or a line that you say you wouldn't cross. I wouldn't add a black whale in there or something to make it all fantasy world. And I see that my approach to those images, it's also changing. I love to do it the natural way, but usually, I mean, first of all, when you shoot in RAW, you have to edit. You have to manipulate your image in a way. So you have to make decisions on which way you go. And first of all, I think you as an artist, you have to decide which way you're going. And who's there to decide which is right and which is wrong? I think there's no wrong or right in art.
Yeah, agree.
Either you like it or you don't, and that's fine.
Yeah.
If people say this is shit, I don't like it, that's fine. I mean, and of course, I would love people to like this, but if they don't, that's okay.
Yeah, it's exactly the same, like, you know, with cameras. Which system is better, Sony, Nikon, Olympus, or Canon, whatever? Yeah, that's exactly the same situation. Kai, next picture, and this is
Northern Ireland.
Okay, that's what I wanted to ask you.
This is from my business trip. I had 2 business trips to Ireland. That was the second trip when I was a bit more into landscape photography and knew a bit more about what am I doing there. And this is a place called the Dark Hedges. That's a little road, a winding road with those really, really old trees. I think they're, how old are they? 200 years, more than 200 years old or something. So far, I haven't seen Game of Thrones. I know many people like say, oh, you haven't seen it, and I know I have to. But this is really popular because this is a place they shot some parts of the television series. And those trees, they look so, I don't know, so moody. They're like living arms reaching in, and it's just a very great place. You have to shoot wide to have this effect of the trees more coming together. If you, not shoot wide, shoot long, because if you went wide, you wouldn't have the same effect on this image.
Okay, there is a question from just a moment, from Łukasz. He's asking a lot of questions today, but that's nice. Regarding, you know, different locations you go and so on. The question is, how do you plan your trip, your photography trip, and what kind of apps do you use, and so on? So maybe a few words about it.
Yeah, that's a good question. I wrote something about this in my blog on my homepage. So if you're interested to read something about it, you can go there too. I plan, first of all, if I know where to go, if I know the spot, then I check Photopills. It's an app I highly recommend. I have it on my iPhone, because
okay, just to break you for a moment, Kai. Guys, I just see the post on the blog, but I will anyhow include the link to Kai's website and to this specific article, so you can go to check it. Continue, Kai. Sorry.
Yeah. So I check Photopills. When does the sun rise? When does it set? If I want to shoot the Milky Way, I want to make sure that I have it if possible, the galactic core also right to what I'm shooting at. If there's like a lighthouse and you don't want to have the Milky Way in your back, so make sure it's all lined up. And you can check all this with apps like PhotoPills. Also, if you download Google Earth Pro, which is free though, although it's called Pro, you can use this on your Mac or your PC. And then you can also see how the stars align, where the sun rises and sets, at what time of year. And then I check also, how do I get to those places? Where's the parking lot? I take the satellite pictures from Google Maps and see where can I park? How can I get there? If I can't see it there, I try to read it up in the internet. For example, Praia da Ursa. I read, I think, some blog or diary where a person said, well, you should take the left walkway down. And I remembered that when I was there, and I took that way, and I was like, in the end, I was really fortunate that I took this way, because the other one would have been way steeper. What apps also? Yeah, of course, plan the weather when it's close to shooting. As a landscape photographer, you want to make sure the weather is halfway decent.
Any specific website you use to check the weather forecast, or also you're using some apps on your phone?
I do. I'm just checking it right now. I use Clear Outside. I use Windy, AccuWeather, and then I have an app which is more a regular one, which is Weather Pro. Okay. When I was in Norway, I was also for the Aurora, to have the northern lights. I went for Norway lights and Aurora alerts. So there's different apps. Just check them all and then try to get a grasp of what it might be looking like. The main one for planning is Google Maps, though, and PhotoPills. And before, to check for spots, 500px, Flickr, and Google Images. It's perfect to see what a place might look like.
Yeah. Okay, Kai, let's jump to the. I will jump in a moment to the picture I just opened, but Hubert is asking, what is your favorite place to shoot in Germany? So you mentioned few of them, but is there any which is really your favorite?
I would go back to what I said earlier. It's Hintersee in Berchtesgaden. It's that really calm lake with the trees on the rock. Trees on the rock sounds good. Like, it sounds like a drink.
Yeah.
And Saxon, Switzerland, and Elbsandsteingebirge, Alp sandstone mountains, or whatever it's called in English.
Okay. Yeah. And Henrik, so I think the guy who is living in Hanover is saying, Kai, einige Fotos von Hanover, which as I understand,
some images from Hanover.
And yeah.
Today I got asked if I could sell some shots from Hanover, which ones I have, and I was replying, I haven't shot Hanover in more than a year, I think. So okay. And I was just today. I have one nice shot. I think it's in the cities. There's one with on my homepage. Just one shot from Hanover, which doesn't mean that Hanover is a bad place. It's not. It's a really nice place to live. But when you see this all of the time, like I said earlier, I'm more drawn into the distance. So if you're saying I should shoot Hanover more, yeah, I might be getting back to this after I've seen more of the world.
Okay, Kai, let's jump now to the mountain shots which you have in your gallery. So these are Dolomites?
Yes.
I assume, yeah. So maybe a few words about this location. Where have you been actually, and few words about few of those pictures. I will pick some of them.
That was also the Dolomite Trip with the guys I mentioned. We shot a beautiful and unbelievably beautiful sunrise at Trecime, which are those iconic 3 peaks in the Dolomites. And after we were done shooting, maybe around 8:30 or something in the morning, when the sun, usually as a landscape photographer, you're done shooting when other people get up and eat breakfast, then you go back home. And there we went back and went on our way back to Rifugio Auronzo, excuse my Italian, which is the place we stayed at. And before we checked out, I went to this drop and took my long lens out and then shot this one from the mountains across the valley, because those clouds were just nice and the sun was shining on it. The light was harsher than this image does show, so I tuned this down a bit. And by that time, I saw a lot of images. I think it was in 500px of people having really dramatic shots with high contrast of mountains, and I just wanted to try to do this too. And I liked how this turned out, and so turned out to be this image.
This is the one. I think this is panorama, because I believe this is few shots in portrait mode. Is it?
I have to wait.
Okay, yeah. You know the first one, which is in the gallery. Yeah.
This is actually one of my very favorite shots for me personally. This is a panorama shot. It's Seceda in the Italian Dolomites. A very iconic mountain peak, and I shot the sunrise when the sun came over the peaks, and focused on having a nice sun star. And this one here is a panorama, but it's kind of a strange one, because it was taken I think maybe 10 minutes apart, and not even from the same spot. I shot the mountain peaks, so the right part of the image. I shot and bracketed this, and then I moved over just to change composition. And by the time I moved over, it was like maybe 5 to 10 meters away, to have a slight different angle. I noticed that there was a sun beaming in the distance to the left side, and I was like, wow, this looks so amazing. By that time, of course, I didn't mark where I was standing before, so I just took those shots. And I thought, well, I'm just going to try how it looks to add this together, to have the rising sun with the iconic peaks, and maybe see if I can have this slight different angle put next to it, and try to blend this to have it look seamless. And this is the result. And yes, so it's a time blend, it's a perspective blend, but it's an image that I can look at and not care about how I did it, because this actually, to me, up to date, is one of the best shots I took so far. One of my favorites.
Actually, the part of the slope which is lit by the sun, just in front of the peaks, this part of the image looks very much like some of the pictures from Ivory Islands.
Okay.
I mean the landscape there is kind of similar in some places. Okay. I saw some of those type of shots on Matt's pictures. It's quite nice. Okay, let's pick something else from here. Maybe
that morning. Maybe I can add this because I was shooting with Matt's.
Okay.
And he was there. We were shooting at that spot, Seceda, the night before to shoot the sunset, which dissolved and didn't really happen. So we went back down, which took like down, I don't know, 45 minutes, and it's pretty steep. It's not dangerous at all because there are walkways, but it's really steep. It really gets into your knees and your thighs. And set the alarm clock for the early morning, and I wasn't even sure if I would make it back up, because it takes like, I don't know, 80 minutes from where we stayed, from this hut, to get back to the peak. And I had some really serious hikes from Trecim and everything in my legs already, so I wasn't really sure if I get up back to the peak in 80-minute hike in complete darkness. But I did, and this sunrise up at the peak from before I shot this image, totally worth it.
Okay. What happened here, tell me, because this is also, when I saw this picture for the first time, I was blown away by the cloud, and I don't know if it's inversion or whatever, but
completely by chance. Actually, I shot Secheda. That's when we shot the sunset, Secheda Peaks, and then I was like just looking to the side, what's happening there, and I saw big clouds come up, rain clouds, and we were like, oh, we better get our rain jackets up because we're gonna get soaked. And then this rain cloud just washed over the peaks in the distance, and I shot from there. And luckily, the rain clouds didn't move over us, so we stayed dry.
So this is the kind of the part which goes from the peak to the top, or the other way around. It's actually the rain.
It's rain, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought that this is kind of, you know, momentum when the cloud is creating, but
no, it's rain actually, and the cool thing was that the sun was pretty strong in highlighting it that much, so it didn't get backlit. Actually, it got just like lit up as if it was a stage, and of course I enhanced it a bit to have the contrasts pop and have the brightness pop a bit more, but it was really strong. You could just see the rain pelt down there. Really great moment.
Yeah, let's see. You have also few cityscapes, so maybe Hallstatt. That's really nice place and also very popular. Yeah. I just picked up. Yeah. I think you should see it in a moment.
Hallstatt in Austria is like Disneyland, and I think it's really even more popular in Asia, because when that's the last stop we were at our Dolomites tour. We shot the sunset, and this is the blue hour after that, and then we came back in the morning to have a completely overcast sky with deep clouds and really moody. And this, I read it in the internet. I think this town has only 700 citizens, but it has like 70,000 tourists every day. And this place, it wasn't funny anymore. I mean, it's really a beautiful town, and right at the lake, in the mountains in the back. It's really gorgeous. But with that many tourists, I wouldn't even want to go back. It was crazy. We were standing in line on that street to have this the spot to shoot. And there were like 30 or 40 people. They were mostly Asian, funny.
Oh, yeah.
In the morning, there was an Asian couple that had a photographer with it. They had their wedding dresses on to take photos there. So they fly all the way over from Asia to have their wedding images taken there. It's crazy. It is. Nevertheless, a beautiful place.
And this is also a very nice picture from Dublin with this Samuel Beckett Bridge. Hopefully I will finally go somewhere there.
I think that's the first image I actually planned to take. I knew I would be staying at Dublin because it was this business trip, and I was looking up places to shoot, and I was like, wow, this bridge looks so great. I have to shoot there. And then I planned on going there. I didn't know the exact time, so that was out of my hands. But then I was shooting there, and I knew which angle I wanted to take. And I took the shots, and my colleagues, funny enough, like right in the back where I shot, there's a big pub. They went in there, had their beers, and it took me like, I don't know, 30 to 45 minutes to take a couple of shots, and then I went in there and had some Guinness as well. So I can highly recommend this place to shoot, because you shoot this nice place and then you go and have a Guinness. And Irish Guinness in Irish pubs, they are way better than outside of Ireland.
Yeah, fully agree. Okay, so we already have like 1 hour 17 minutes, so we should slowly finish our live stream. There is a question regarding if asking if you are using Dodge and Burn in his photos, but you already mentioned that
I do.
That you do it. So yeah, I think Ulf said that in Hanover, if I understood correctly, you should take a picture of Anzeiger Hochhaus.
I did.
You did.
When you go back to the city on my homepage, there's one shot of the Anzeiger Hochhaus. Actually, that's my favorite image of Hanover, the favorite ones that I took. And it's Anzeiger Hochhaus. It even says it on the name. So if you're from outside of Germany, outside of Hanover, you can still recognize because it says it on the famous and iconic house. And that's a really nice building, yeah.
There is a suggestion, and which is maybe also interesting. On Facebook, we have a kind of group of people involved in the photography group, which I created with few of my friends, which is called in Polish fotozakręceni, meaning kind of photo addicted or whatever. I just started the Facebook group, and maybe we could have a short look together at few pictures, and
sure,
you could comment some of them. Let me just maybe pick this one from Jacek. Just a moment. Oh, this castle, which I just scrolled through, but you will see it in a moment. It's a very nice castle in place called, or in a city called Moszna, taken with Olympus. What do you think about the picture, and what is missing? What you would probably change on it?
First of all, I think it's nicely composed. You have the full circle inside the frame. I think that's what you really took good care of, because that's really unique here. I don't know if it's really a circular pond, but it looks like this. Might be the lens distortion though, because you see it looks like a fish eye.
It's fish eye. It's fish eye lens. Yeah.
And you see the building is like this. The water is nice in calm, so you have a nice reflection going. What I wish it had though was more favorable light. It looks a bit flat to me. If there was any color in the back of the sky, you would have something adding to it. This way, I might even be considering doing it black and white, because not much color going on here anyways, and so you could just turn the attention away from the colors at all and just have it on the great lines and the reflection. And so I try a black and white here. Maybe if you could enhance the contrast in the sky to have those clouds a bit more contrasty. Yeah.
How about the tree on the right hand side, which is on the corner? Probably also not necessarily fitting.
I think I would leave it there as it is, because you have a tree on the left side too, and this way you have a tree on the left and the right, and you have some kind of framing. If you took the tree on the right side out, you would have a clean sky there, but then on the left side you would have the tree.
Yeah.
So I think if you take out the tree on the right side, you have to take out the tree on the left side as well to have it balanced.
And people, yeah. the crowd on the left hand side.
Unfortunately, I only have a small display here. You have to pick up those people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's pick up something else. Oh, this is the picture taken by. Just a moment. I see that you still don't see it, but I will start slowly say a few words about it. So it's a picture of a Milky Way, taken with entry-level Canon 100D with Samyang 16mm lens, f2.0, and this is actually, if I see it correctly, the sky is a blend of
different exposure,
30 exposures, 60 seconds exposures, and the foreground is just one exposure with 8-second ISO 800.
It looks like two exposures. I think it's. I mean, I really have just a small image, so I can't really tell. I would check the tree line if you have blended this nicely, but I think the white balance is off in the foreground. You have it really yellowish. If you made this colder, because at night, all you have is desaturated blue.
Yeah.
And you don't have any yellow light, except for when you have street lights or something, some artificial light. And I think you might have had artificial light here in your back.
Yeah.
Which is good because you have some light on your person. But I would really definitely turn down the temperature a lot from the foreground, which would make it more balanced with the sky, because the sky, maybe the sky could even be a bit colder too for my liking. And then this is a lake, right? Because there's a reflection. I can't see that well here in this image. When you have a lake with a Milky Way, if you check Milky Way shots on the internet, often you have some kind of reflection of the stars in the lake too. If you want to take it further, you can try to maybe add some sort of reflection there.
Yeah, actually, there was also already a comment from someone else saying that the blend of foreground and the sky is not necessarily done correctly because of the temperature, as you said, and the white balance on both parts slightly different. I like these pictures, this picture a lot. Yeah.
That's really a really nice view. But that's an awesome image. I like the light that falls in. The peaks in the back, they're amazing. What I like is when an image reveals a lot, so you can discover a lot, and you take your time to actually examine a shot, which I'm doing here. I see the trees in the front. Maybe I see them too much. Maybe they're too bright for me, because the eyes always go to the brightest parts. And I think the brightest... Okay, I see you again, but the image is moving slowly. I just lost you for a second.
Just a moment, Kai. We are still losing the connection. I need to check what's wrong with the. Okay. Yeah, I have very bad connection on my side, so I don't know. I don't know if we can manage. We can try to continue. It improves slowly. No, now it's dropping again, but we can try. It's getting better right now, so hopefully we are back, guys. So it seems that we are back. So let's continue, because do you hear me, Kai?
Yes, I do. All right.
Okay, so let's continue. Let's see if it works, and we will basically try to finish slowly because to avoid other problems. But it seems that the connection is now better.
Okay. So yeah, nice shot. I said it's a nice shot. We could have some tweaks here and there, but great work.
Okay, so maybe just one more, and oh, this is something. Yeah, this is the picture of taken by Dan. Dan, who is actually working a lot with some kind of close-ups. He's using at least this camera was Olympus EM10 Mark II with ZIÂKUJÂ 40-150 lens. It's a completely different picture, so not typical landscape. I'm looking if you are getting the not yet. There is a delay on your side.
It's
you see it already?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Ah, okay.
Exclamation mark. It's really fantastic shot. Nice bokeh. Great details, the soft pastel tones. I like it that you have a lot of negative space on the upper right. It's beautifully done. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Fantastic shot.
If you want to see more of them, Kai, I recommend you to go to Dan's profile on 500 px. Then he has a lot of these kind of pictures. Really, really nice, nice job he does. And maybe the last one I'm just looking to. Oh, maybe something from the street photo. I like this picture a lot. Jacek, picture taken by Jacek. And yeah, this is for me. I really like the way the rain was catched on the picture, but you still don't see it, or you see it already?
Not yet.
Okay. It's taken with Canon 700D with telephoto lens 70-300 with focal length of 2.5 mm and ISO 800.
It's great. It's I like street shots that you instantly have a story in your head. There I have one, or at least questions. What is it a she? I think it's a woman.
Yeah,
what is
woman,
she thinking about? She seems to be maybe contemplative. She's thinking about something while walking through the rain. Why is she alone? All things like this in a nice dark mood. I like street photography, and when I started shooting 2 years ago, I tried street photography myself as well. Coming from landscape, where I take things away, I know that in street photography, there's like a certain code. You leave things as they are. You don't take things out. It's way more strict, I think, as in landscape. If you took this aside a bit, I think you could take some things out, like this little, is it a wheel or something in the back on the left side, which is the right part? Maybe take this out, and then in the bottom right, there's something which is kind of some metal ring or something. Yeah, you maybe take this out to simplify the shot and even focus more on the person. But nice, really nice.
Okay, I think we should slowly finish because it's 1 hour 30 minutes. I will jump to the screen with 2 of us. Okay. So guys, that's all today, and I'm really glad that you found time, Kai, to join us.
That was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully we will have another interesting guest. Also the colleagues which you recommend to me. I'm already working on it, but it's a secret for a moment, so don't say anything. And yeah, you are invited to join us in June for this meeting. There will be, like I said, 50 people. We will shoot this nice spots in Rogalin. Thank you to everybody for joining us, and yeah, from my side that's all. Kai, maybe you want to say a few words for the end?
Well, just thank you for having me, Martin. That was a lot of fun. I hope it was interesting for you. If you want to see more, then just get in touch with me. Gladfully get back to you, and just have fun shooting yourself. Don't worry about gear or how people might perceive what you're doing. Enjoy what you're doing. I think that's the most important thing, and go out, shoot. It's such a nice environment everywhere. It's worth shooting. Have fun with it.
Okay, guys, and just for the end, if you want to see more work of Kai, then follow him on Instagram. You have right now on the screen, you have Kai Hornung. That's how you can find Kai on his Instagram, and also follow his website. we'll be in touch. Maybe you can also follow. You can find Kai also on Facebook, but I didn't have enough space to put everything here. But link to his social media profiles will be under the movie. That's all for today. Thank you, Kai. Have a good night. Actually, yeah, have a good night. And hopefully we'll see each other soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Cheers.